Hey guys, I decided I'm just going to do some weekly updates. So Wednesday every week, I decided I'm just going to do an update on where baked beans is at, pending any catastrophic, strange things that might happen. I'll throw an update either on Twitter or do a quick video if something happens that's substantial between videos. But so every Wednesday, I'll be releasing a baked beans update just to discuss where we're at on the project and just provide any insight that I might have. And going off of the last video, I had a lot of people like it was kind of weird because I just kind of stated what other people were saying in videos, and I wasn't just referencing that one guy that just kind of fuds every single video, but there was another YouTuber that just kind of went over the whole back end and basically said it's better to eat more as the contract balance is going up, and that it doesn't affect you as much as what they say. And that is true that it doesn't affect you as much. But even a small percentage drop in your daily ROI is actually pretty substantial, and I'll show that in this video. Everybody's like, well, it'll just drop a little bit, and so you should eat more as it goes up. I explained in the last video, if you do that, if everybody starts eating quickly, then obviously that buy pressure becomes much less than the sell pressure, and creates that kind of peak that we saw in that last video. And it's better if people stretch out their withdrawals like to the 6-to-1 ratio. I think that's just kind of a good ratio, honestly. You're making so much per week, and that also helps, like, really, that slope that goes up, it elongates it and makes that profit taking period much longer, but also increases your returns. So yeah, in the last, I don't know, 10 hours or so, this thing blew past 27,000 BNB. We're over 11 million USD locked in this contract right now. It's crazy. And if we look, let's just look at that contract. Give me 1 second here. This is BNB miner. Let's just look at this guy. This is what it's based off of. And if we go to that contract, gotta wait for Cloudflare to catch up. This thing's been in the works for more than a year. It's been working for more than a year. It's still got 1,100 BNB in it. Almost $500,000 locked in it. If we go to the analytics of this thing and we look at the balance, this thing hit a balance of just over 3 million. So this baked beans is over 3 times as big as this thing ever got. And that being said, look how long this slope lasted based on just that amount. And they didn't have that 6-to-1 rule when they were doing this. So I imagine this, instead of coming down at this level, it's going to be more like this out here. And that's what happens when you do 6-to-1. This slope will be not as steep as long as people are not withdrawing as much. And then hopefully that top is very flat and long, and then it comes down like this, instead of this gigantic peak and then instant drop. So the guys that are calling for people to just withdraw a bunch, withdraw more on this upward slope, they're not taking into account time and how a 6-to-1 approach affects the slope and what that also does to the peak and drop. They're assuming that baked beans is going to do this exact same thing, and it doesn't have to do this exact same thing, because it's up to the community members to make sure this doesn't happen, this sharp top and then drop. Regardless of the algorithm behind it, it's not about just what you can get out of it right now. It's about, what's best for the platform, what's best for the community. And that's what's made Baked Beans so successful, is the community and the kind of the unspoken rule of 6-1. It's not really unspoken, it's spoken everywhere. But if you don't live by that, if you go against the community, you steepen this curve, and it actually hurts your profits in the long run. It reaches this peak faster if you do that, and then it drops. You want this peak to come, in the distant future. You don't want it to come in the near future. And if you're taking profits as fast as you can along here, or just rebaking once or twice and then hitting the top, you're hurting the community. You're hurting your future profits, honestly, because you will be taking profits along here. They just won't be nearly as much. So that being said, people are like, hey, is it too late to get in? No, even if you got into the top here, it's going to take longer to get your initial investment out. But I mean, this thing has been going for months, and it had, less than a third of the contract of Baked Beans. So let's talk about this. So yeah, we're at 27,000 BNB, over 27,000. We'll probably be at 28,000 later today. Let's talk about that. I've got this sheet that I share. I'll link it again in this video. This shows different returns. And even if your profit drops down just a little bit, let's say it went from 6% to 5%. Watch this 12-week total. We went from 6 to 5%, and this is almost halved. It's almost halved, guys. Like, I don't know what else to tell you, that compounding off of a higher return just by 1% makes a huge difference. So you kind of want that as high as possible. Otherwise, you're hurting your returns. Everybody's like, well, if you eat too much, it'll go to 0.5%. It's like, well, if that's not, these guys in these other videos are saying, well, that's not true. It'll drop a little bit, but it's not nearly that much. Well, guys, it doesn't take much to ruin your returns. Let's say this thing drops to 4%. What's 12-week total? You're getting a fraction. If you had 6%, you're getting over 11 BNB. If you're at 4%, you get 2.5 BNB. So these guys are like, well, it won't drop that much. Well, it doesn't take much to ruin your returns. So yeah, would you rather do, try to get, 6% and get 12 BNB? Or let's say you want to eat more. Here's one. And it goes to 4% because you're taking profits more often, because they're like saying, eat more often. Well, this is more often. Your return's going to drop. It's not going to drop to 0.5%, but it'll drop a little bit because the market egg, your egg ratio to the balance and stuff is going to be a little bit different than these people over here. So you're going to have a little bit lower percentage. So let's say you go down to 4%. Over those 12 weeks, you're going to get 3.6 BNB versus these guys that are doing 6-1 to get a little bit better percentage. They're going to get almost 12 BNB. So these guys that are saying eat more often, they need to take into account the factor that even a slight dip in percentage can have a big impact over time. You need to factor in time, not just here and now. What is my percentage now, and what can I get right now? You have to think long term. This thing's going to go for months, even after it hits its peak. And if you want the highest rate of return, you have to shoot for the highest percentage yield that you can get. So yeah, I just want to bring that up, let people know that, yes, there's these videos out there that people are saying, the algorithm, this, blah, 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 that, and they're probably correct, that's what the algorithm actually does do. And, I admitted that on the last video. But what you're not taking into account is time, with compounding and how much you eat over that time based on the percentage you get. You know, yeah, I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, guys, but even a small percentage can have a huge impact on your returns over time. You have to remember that compounding takes time, and as soon as you change one of those small numbers, it's like flying a plane. And if you turn by 1 degree in 1,000 miles, you can be very, very far off from your initial route if you just change by 1 degree. And the same thing happens with time and investment. If you change one parameter into the future, that can look very different. So just be careful about like these guys that are saying eat more as it goes up, because they're not taking into account time. Time with compounding interest is, the most important thing. If I compound for 1 day, it's not going to look like I did much. But if I compound for a year, that's when I start seeing, huge differences. And the same thing with this, guys. Like, don't fall into this thing of eat, and every once in a while rebake, because yes, you will get a lower percentage. It's not going to be a 0.5%, but even just going down a percentage or two is going to ruin your returns. Let's see what happens if this just goes to 0.5%. Yeah, even if you go from 5% to or 6% on 6-to-1 to 5% on like a 3-to-1, you're missing out over 12 weeks. If you had an initial investment of 1 BNB, you're missing out on like a little more than 4 BNB. What is that, $1,600? Like, is it worth it at that point? You just have to think about, what that looks like. I mean, these guys are all about, proving baked beans wrong and proving people wrong. But you have to take a step back, think about your investment, think about what you're doing. You can do 3-to-1. That's fine. I'm not going to recommend it. Other people won't recommend it. You're still actually compounding your investment. It's growing, but it's actually not returning what it could. Of course, just remember, guys, this is over time. This is over 12 weeks, and these are both over 12 weeks. So you're not making a bunch more immediately off of, let's see, what is our initial return back? A 3-to-1, you're going to get your initial back in a little less than 40 days. 6-to-1, yeah, same thing, a little less than 40 days. It's going to be around here, 38, 39 days. So, you're trying to get your initial back and trying to make a bunch more money in the short term by taking just a small hit for your rate. It doesn't always make the most sense, guys. It's not about eating as fast as you can. Baked beans is going to be around for months. If we look at BNB Miner Finance, it could be around for, this thing is still going. And so, it could be around for years. It could be around for a year or more. So, yeah, that's my current kind of stance on baked beans. There's all these guys fudding it, saying it's just Ponzi. Well, okay, then do a review on Drip Network or any node project or anything out there and tell me what's not a Ponzi. Go to the stock market, go to any investment outside of crypto and tell me what's not a Ponzi. So yeah, guys, that's just kind of my thoughts on this. I will leave a link to this video. I did add a few more investment strategies in there, like the 3-to-1, the compounding per day. You can just copy the sheet, and when you do that, you can change the number here. So this one is like 6-to-1, 4 compounds per day. You're going to make about, if you get a return averaging 6% over those 12 weeks, you're going to get about 12.8 B&B in 12 weeks. So compounding 4 times a day obviously is better than once a day. You make almost a full B&B by compounding 4 times a day instead of once a day over 12 weeks. And you can change this, 8 times a day. Obviously it'll go up a bit. I mean, there's a point where gas fees are gonna, catch up to you, but oh, let me revert that. But the gas fees here are calculated. I haven't changed those. I should probably change those based on the compounds. But this assumes 4 times a day on how much you would pay for gas. So anyway, guys, that's, yeah, and you can look at these. They're, yeah, go ahead and, if you want to make a copy of this and edit it, change it, put your investment in. This makes assumptions. This is not guaranteed exactly what you're going to make. Like for instance, this one assumes that you're going to get a return of 6% per day. You can change that. You can, factor in what you're actually getting and stick that in there. If you want to use this for one of the other clones out there that just do the same thing, you can change the tax rates or whatever. And it doesn't have to be B&B. These can be, you could put 100 here, and it could be Matic or Phantom or whatever. So anyway, guys, that's baked beans. That's kind of my view on this. Don't listen to every single video you see out there about, the algorithm's wrong, so go ahead and just take. It's not always correct. They haven't thought about everything that could happen in the future. Yeah, like I said, I'm not saying they're wrong, but I also don't think that they've considered other factors such as time and investment and compounding and all these different things, that even just a small rate change can have a big effect. Anyway, guys, go ahead and like the video if you like it. Subscribe if you want to subscribe. I will leave yet another link to baked beans below. And I will link to that spreadsheet. You can just make a copy. The easiest way to do that is go and hit make a copy, and that will copy it onto, if you have a Google account or whatever, that'll copy it. I think you might be able to even download it as an Excel file. You can drop an Excel and change it or whatever you want to do. Anyway, guys, yeah, tell me what you think. Baked beans is still just rocking and rolling. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'll leave links below, and we'll catch you in the next one.